Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my podcast. It's another beautiful day where we get to decide who we are and what we are consciously creating in our life. Okay, this is episode 5, where we are going to be discussing why you tend to become less reactive when you shift in your self-concept and how you're identified. And before we get into the topic today, I'm just going to go over what we're going to be talking about, okay? Just so you can see if this podcast is relevant to you, if there's any information that you might find useful. So the main topics that I'm going to be discussing today is how your mind is searching for evidence of what you believe, who you're identified as, how you dominantly believe certain aspects of your life are going to show up generally. And when we change and how we're identified, the next thing I'm going to talk about is the new way of organizing yourself and how that leads to emotional regulation, the state of being that you're dominantly existing in, how you're dominantly feeling. And the last thing that I want to talk about is why you tend to release any sort of urgency and you're able to decide how things are going to unfold and persist in the knowing of that outcome in a very balanced, stable way, and all while handling whatever is going on in front of you, not seeing it as evidence that you're not going to be able to create what you desire. Okay? So, the first thing I want to talk about, all right? And, I've talked on my channel quite a few times about the difference between reacting and responding. So I'm gonna say something really quickly right now before we get into how your mind searches for evidence and how that relates to becoming less reactive. I still stand by what I've said previously, which is most things don't need a reaction, okay, especially when you shift in how you're identified, but some things may require a response. And in today's video, I'm gonna really discuss what I mean about that, okay? So let's first begin though by understanding your mind searching for evidence. Okay, in the last podcast, I talked about, how you're identified and who you are and how that relates to how you perceive your reality, right? So when we start to shift in how we are identified, our entire perception of our reality is going to begin to match that way of identifying. Okay, so let's look at an example here. Let's say a very simple belief like, I'm able to create a relationship, okay? Let's look at that belief. I'm able to create a relationship. I identify as somebody that's able to create a relationship, okay? So if I actually take on that belief and that way of identifying, then intrinsically, when I wake up and how I go about my day, okay, when I see examples of a relationship that I want to create, I'm going to relate to it. When I see memes on my phone of people having a good relationship that I want to create, I'm going to relate to it. The music that I'm listening to about people having a nice relationship or being attractive in a relationship and having fun in a relationship, I'm going to relate to it, right? Subconsciously, I'm already going to be searching for evidences in my reality that support this way of identifying, okay? And we're doing this whether the belief is quote unquote good or bad, right? The reason why shifting in your identity is really important is because when it comes to creating desired results in our life, another thing that I've talked about is it's not about force, it's not about manipulation, it's about, really becoming solid within yourself and being able to know things into being while dealing with whatever's in front of you in a mature way. When we have limiting beliefs or limiting ideas, limiting ways of viewing ourselves and viewing our reality, we're already going to be existing in a state where we are subconsciously looking for those things, assuming those things are going to occur, not feeling good within ourselves, and then when they pop up, they serve as evidence of what we believe about ourselves or this area of our life, which then triggers us, causes us to react, causes us to want to force or manipulate the situation, and it can lead to a very vicious cycle, especially in a relationship where you're not feeling heard, wanted, desired, you're not moving in positive progression towards the results you want to have in that relationship. And yes, somebody may be doing something in your reality that is undesirable, okay? But how you choose to respond to that and the type of response that elicits within you tells you how you're identified. Okay, so typically, when we start to get really good beliefs in alignment about ourselves or this area of our life, we become less reactive because even if, okay, so for instance, that belief, I'm able to create a relationship, okay? If I am enjoying somebody's presence, okay, and then they tell me, yeah, I don't really know if I want a relationship, my mind isn't going to be intrinsically searching for that or worried that they're gonna say that, or I'm also not gonna get triggered hearing that because my way of identifying what I believe about myself in this area of my life is going to, in a way, override the response or the stimulus in my environment, okay? To think about it very scientifically. The stimulus in my environment, okay? Which goes into how you respond to it, right? So, whereas if we don't have that belief, okay, let's say you struggle with that belief, I'm not able to create the relationship that I desire, and you're enjoying somebody's presence, and then they tell you, I don't really know if I want a relationship, okay? Your mind is going to lock onto that. Your fears, your worries, your doubts, the things that have been going on subconsciously are going to start to surface. It's going to trigger you, and you're going to view it as though this is a real issue, right? Because now something is popping up in your reality that is serving as evidence of what you believe about yourself or what you believe about this area of your life, okay? And it would be very typical to react to that in a way of like, but, you know, having a conversation like, well, I thought we were getting along and I thought that we were enjoying each other and you really liked me and we're spending all this time together. What changed, right? Why is that type of reaction occurring? Because this thing in front of you is now triggering what you believe about yourself or what you believe about this area of your life. And instead of being able to respond to it in a confident, knowing manner, you will have the tendency to go in the direction of wanting to manipulate, control, figure out what occurred so that you can force the result that you desire into being, okay? When we hold that belief, a response could be something like, oh, okay, it's fine, you know, that you're in that place, okay? I get it, right? I'm very confident with who I am and you know, what I want in this life and what I'm gonna create for myself. And I'm not gonna force anything on you. I really enjoy your presence, but if you're not sure you want a relationship right now, then, you know, that's totally fine. And in your mind, you have to decide too, you know, can I enjoy their presence? Do I want to continue to hang out with them? Is this an enjoyable experience for me? Sure, yeah, it is. Okay, then I'm going to continue to spend time with them. And if I want to be in a relationship with you, I can internally know that it's going to go in that direction. But the key thing here is that type of response that you're getting from somebody is not serving as evidence of who you are or what you're able to create in your life, okay? This is why you tend to become less reactive when you shift in your identity, because there's nothing incongruent within yourself that is worried about being able to create those results. And even if something undesirable pops up, you're so grounded in what you believe about yourself in this area of your life that it's not triggering you. It's not triggering your worries, doubts, or fears. It's not triggering you into thinking something like, this always happens to me, nobody's ever available, I'm not able to create the relationship that I desire. You're able to handle these situations with a lot more stability and respond to them a lot more appropriately, which in and of itself is going to be attractive, right? That level of confidence and self-assurance is going to be attractive, but in terms of mentally persisting in something, it is a lot easier for you to hold the knowing that you're going to be able to create this relationship when you're in that belief system as well too, okay? And to go to the point that I brought up earlier, most things don't need a reaction, some things need a response, okay? In the same token, okay, that doesn't mean that people can just completely disrespect you and say or do whatever they want, okay? Most things, like I just said, don't need a reaction, but if you feel like what is being done, what is being said is extremely disrespectful or hurtful, then you need to respond to it. It's okay to stand up for yourself, okay? And if you fear doing those types of things, that is where you want to get those beliefs in alignment. I'm able to stand up for myself. I'm able to create solutions. I'm able to communicate clearly. I'm able to set clear guidelines as to what is acceptable or what is not acceptable in my life, okay? And when you're actually in that belief system, okay, you're going to be confident with what you're doing. You're going to respond to things that you feel like need a response while holding the knowing that that was appropriate to do, that it was okay. You're allowed to respond to things. You're allowed to stand up for yourself. And in fact, that is very attractive and going to allow for you to create a relationship with somebody where they understand what is and is not acceptable with you. The part where that becomes difficult is when you are not solid, again, within yourself. Okay, so if you don't actually hold those beliefs, okay, then one, you may be misperceiving the situation. So are they actually being disrespectful? Are they actually being rude? Are they actually being hurtful? Or are they just saying things that you struggle to believe about yourself and it's triggering you? Okay, I think that's a good question to come into clarity about. If you're not misperceiving the situation, okay, the other aspect to where that may be difficult is genuinely believing that you can be who you are, that people are going to accept you for who you are, that you're allowed to honor and respect yourself and stand up for yourself, and that is attractive, okay? If you actually get those beliefs in alignment, you're gonna have no issue responding confidently to things in a way that moves towards the results that you desire to create in your life and is very mature and balanced, okay? Let's talk about the next reason why you tend to become less reactive when you shift in your belief system and how that relates to a new way of organizing yourself, emotional regulation, the state of being that you're in, how you're feeling, okay? So to go off of what I just said, your mind is always searching for evidences of what you believe, okay? If I'm in a really healthy belief system about myself in different areas of my life, the way in which I'm using my time throughout the day is going to be completely different than if I'm not in that version of myself, okay? So if I'm in a version of myself that doesn't have the best beliefs about myself, doesn't have the best beliefs about a particular area of my life that I want to create a change in, then I may find myself anxious throughout the day, worried, constantly checking, doubting myself, a little bit frozen, not taking, positive action with my life and organizing a day that I enjoy because I am so internally bothered by this area of my life. Versus when I'm in a dominantly healthy, stable, secure, confident version of myself, I'm not going to have all those internal distractions that are pulling me in a bunch of different directions, okay? And the reason why your mind is doing that too is, again, you're searching for evidences of what you believe. So if you struggle to believe that you're able to create a change in this area of your life, your mind is going to intrinsically continue to bring into focus things that prove that belief true, which is where the checking comes into play, the anxiety comes into play, the obsession, the inability to focus on other areas of your life, because your mind subconsciously is trying to prove to you, okay, that you can't create this change, and it keeps bringing things into your focus and into your awareness via your thoughts or your behaviors to kind of prove it to yourself that you're not able to do this, okay? So when we change those things within ourselves, our belief system, we're going to inherently organize ourselves in a new way. We're not going to be spending our time like that. And in terms of emotional regulation and our feeling state, okay, if I have, again, a really healthy belief system about myself in a particular area of my life, I'm not going to be feeling any sort of lack, any sort of need. I'm not going to be feeling any sort of loss, okay? It's not that I, dehumanize myself, okay? So yes, maybe I'm in a situation where I'll miss somebody, or I realize that there may be a few challenges, and I might have some moments where I allow myself to, feel like I'm missing them, or deal with however I'm feeling about the situation. But dominantly, okay, I'm gonna be within those beliefs of I'm able to fix this area of my life, I'm confident with what I'm doing, I'm able to create the desired results for myself, I'm able to create what I want, getting what I want is a normal experience for me, and therefore, the way that I'm feeling throughout the day, the way that I'm regulated throughout the day is going to reflect that. And how I organize myself and what I do with my time and how I'm internally focused is also going to reflect that, okay? Which is why you also tend to become less reactive. Because if I am already feeling complete, I am already solid within myself, I am already believing these things about myself in this area of my life, then I'm not going to be searching for evidences that I can't create that thing. I'm not going to be viewing challenges or things that I don't like showing up as evidence that I can't create that thing. And I'm already going to be feeling fulfilled and solid within myself, which is why I'm not going to get triggered, reactive, or find myself doing things that are, in a way, trying to force that result. And again, just reacting to a person, place, or thing that in a way that recreates the patterns that I no longer want to experience, okay? So there's two components that come into consideration here, okay? Your mind is no longer searching for evidences of your inability to change this area of your life, which allows for you to organize yourself in a new way. You're not internally distracted anymore. Okay? And because you have actually adjusted those beliefs, you're already feeling as though you have that thing. There is no lack within you. You are already satiated. I am able to do these things. Therefore, I'm not missing anything. There's nothing off of my feeling state. And this is typically where you'll see negative attachment drop, okay, obsession drop. You start to actually step into and embody the version of you that has the result that you desire naturally, okay? This leads into urgency and deciding. So, if I am already feeling fulfilled, if I am already identified as somebody that can create this result, and I'm not searching for evidences as to why I can't create that result, and I'm also not getting triggered by challenges in my reality and viewing them as evidence that I can't create that result, then I'm going to not have any sort of urgency. Again, I'm going to organize my day in a way that feels good to me. I'm going to show up honoring myself, loving myself, prioritizing myself, creating the relationship with myself that I'm going to create with other people, or, growing within myself and how I'm organizing my day that is going to allow for me to naturally create the results that I desire in my career, in school, with money, okay? When we release that urgency as well too, that helps us also not search for evidences of what we can't create. So if there's no urgency within me, okay, because I'm already identified as somebody that can create that result, then I'm not going to be, again, searching for evidences that I can't, but I'm also not going to try and force things. So back to that example of what I used earlier, like I'm able to create a relationship. When you are interacting with somebody and you can tell that they really want a relationship with you and it's coming off insecure, needy, forceful, like they're doubting you, okay? You can cognitively understand and see why that may not be very attractive, right? Whereas if you're with somebody that is very confident within themselves in a grounded way, knows their worth and their value, trust that you're going to like them, allows for you to establish that bond with them, allows for you to be attracted to them, okay? Creates an environment where you feel safe to be open with them, where you don't feel like you're being forced into something and there's no urgency here. Your tendency and desire to, build feelings with that person is going to naturally unfold, Okay, so the urgency naturally drops off as well too. And the last thing is deciding, right? So if I'm actually in that belief system, okay, I'm organizing myself in a new way, I'm emotionally regulated, I'm already feeling satisfied, there's no lack within me, okay? I'm not urgent to create this result, and I'm not seeing anything in my reality as evidence that I can't create that result. It's going to be very easy for me to, in my mind, decide what is going to occur in my life, and there's not going to be anything within how I'm identified in contradiction with that result. And that is where it's very easy to internally persist in whatever it is that you desire to create, okay? And you're gonna find that you're not obsessively doing it. So when it comes to applying techniques, most of the time when you've actually made an identity shift, you're gonna naturally already persist in that direction. I'm able to create this relationship. This person totally likes me. I'm able to get this job. I'm 100% qualified. I see myself as somebody that has that job. I'm able to create this amount of money in my life. I identify as somebody that has money in their life consistently flowing in. I know I'm going to have this amount coming in each month, okay? But if you want to bring consciousness and deliberation to it outside of just what you're naturally entertaining in your mind, then when you sit down to do a technique, whether that be affirming, visualizing, scripting, whatever it is that you like to do, you're going to be able to do those techniques and then come out of them and not find yourself searching for evidences as to why you can't create that result. You're not going to find yourself being urgent. You're not going to find yourself feeling, lack or worry or doubt or fear, because again, you're already existing as I am the version of myself that can create this result, which is why you also become less reactive, okay? So, to sum that all up, there's a few reasons why you become less reactive, because mainly these undesirable things in your life no longer serve as evidence for what you're able to create for yourself. Therefore, you may not even see the need to react to them. It would be below you, okay? But like I said at the beginning, if you feel like something is extremely disrespectful, right, or hurtful or unacceptable, right, there are going to be things that you need to respond to, and that's okay. It is okay to communicate what you do not like. It is okay to say, hey, that's not cool. I wouldn't treat you like that. Why do you think it's okay to speak to me like that or to treat me in this way? Okay? When it comes to responding, my only word of advice is to really think critically about why you want to respond to something. Okay? Am I wanting to respond to this because I want to be petty, argumentative, or am I responding to this because saying these things and calling this out and saying it's unacceptable is an act of honoring myself, loving myself, standing in my worth and my value, knowing what I deserve, and being confident with who I am and what I create in my life? And if that's the case, can I respond to this in a very stable way and not worry about whether or not the person likes it? Can I go in the direction of knowing that they're going to honor me, they're going to respect me, they're going to see where I'm coming from, and I'm not worried about it? If you're able to go in that direction, respond. If you feel like, I want to respond to this because I want to manipulate an outcome, I want to throw this in this person's face, I want to be argumentative, I want to be petty, I want to show them why they're wrong, and I want them to feel what I'm feeling, okay, then I would take a step back and really look at what's going on within this situation and what is getting triggered within you, okay, and smooth that out from a belief standpoint, then come back to it. Because ideally, by the time you're responding to something, if you feel like you need to respond to something, it's not because you're trying to, again, manipulate an outcome. It's more that I'm responding to this because I deserve to honor myself. And I don't really care how you feel about it. And I can still organize myself in a way that feels good. I'm still feeling complete and whole within myself. I can walk away from this situation and not worry about when you're going to text me, whether you liked what I said or not. I did that purely to honor myself and to set the example and show up for myself in this relationship or in this interaction in the way that I want somebody to show up for me. I'm setting the example. And if you can do that, then in my opinion, you're going to be fine. Okay? But there are quite a few reasons why you become less reactive when you shift in your identity, mostly because of your belief system, but also if you take the time to stabilize in your nervous system, you're also going to find that you don't get triggered as easily. Okay? And you're going to find that it's a lot easier to break these undesirable patterns in your life because they're no longer serving as evidence as to who you are or how this area of your life has to show up. Okay, so what does that mean? You got to bring the focus to yourself. Okay, you need to actually look at what you believe about yourself, what you believe about these areas of your life, and adjust that within yourself so that you can show up in a new way. And when you show up in a new way, you're going to respond differently. You're going to organize yourself differently. You're going to view things differently. You're going to perceive things differently. You're going to mentally entertain things differently, which is what allows for you to create different and new sustained results in your life. So when it comes to being the change, do that fearlessly, okay? And don't be afraid to put the focus fully on yourself, because if there's nobody to change but self, and everybody is a reflection of you, then in order for them to change, you need to make a change with what's going on internally, what you believe about yourself, what you believe about this area of your life, and how you're showing up, okay? All right, I love you all so much. I hope you have a beautiful day, night, wherever you are in the world, and I will see you all later. Bye.